Yo, what's up? We are now sitting in the Mercedes EQE 350 4MATIC. I'm doing a Sunday drive, and these Sunday drives are perfect for me for making some TED Talk, or whatever they call it. Actually, I think I'm gonna call it 4K podcast. I think no one else has used that name before. It almost doesn't make any sense, right? But 4K, that's video, huh? And then podcast, but that's audio. Well, yeah, it's 4K podcast time. Okay, anyway, today's topic is about, well, I'm not sure what to call this. It's about my offer to car manufacturers. So I will explain, of course, very deeply what this means. Let's take an example here, an actual example. You know BYD Atto 3 I tested recently. I've been testing that one. I've been testing some BYD before. It was the Han and some other stuff. But it was with the Atto 3 I started using Car Scanner. By the way, Car Scanner is that app with those yellow, those green letters. I choose myself what color, but that's the app that you guys have been seeing. It's called Car Scanner. And then for Tesla, I use ScanMyTesla. You hook it on the OBD and you get lots of useful information. You can actually learn a lot by looking at those data. But okay, back to Car Scanner and Atto 3. What is it all about? Well, when I was charging in Thailand with Atto 3, it was hot over there, you know. And also when I was charging with BYD Tang and Han, I saw that the charging went slow sometimes, but I didn't really know what was going on. But you see, here's the beauty with Car Scanner. Once you see everything, the battery temperature and the charging rates and whatever you want to see in there, it's then quite easy to figure out what's going on. And I learned from looking at Car Scanner that the Atto 3 rapid gates, or it overheats, the battery overheats at 46 degrees Celsius. I had no idea about that when I was in Thailand, when I didn't have Car Scanner support for that car. And then also during 1,000 kilometer challenge and some other tests, I figured out how the car could improve with software update. There was some limitation. For example, once you plug it in, even if the battery is hot, it wouldn't start cooling right away. And if the charging is interrupted, same thing there. Even if the battery is soaking hot, it won't start cooling right away. It takes usually 30 seconds before it starts, which is not good. It should start immediately. And every time it starts cooling, it starts at the lowest possible rate. And then it ramps up slowly. And before it hits the full charging power at 4 something kilowatt, it usually takes at least 5 minutes. You know, that is rare design. Not common really. Other cars, they have other shit like, yeah, I should mention, by the way, since I'm mentioning this, for example, MEB platform, ID3, Skoda Enyaq, and also Korean cars, Ioniq 5, EV6, you know. When you are charging and the cooling is active, once you start HVAC, the cooling will stop. Or maybe even once you start the car, the cooling will stop. So that is also not good. But it has something to do with the AC is shared between the battery cooling and the cabin cooling. But they should do it something similar to Tesla, where it's not affected by it. Or yeah, Tesla for some reason will not stop the AC if shit like that happens. But okay, anyway, so what I'm saying is that I through my regular test, I learn about how the cars behave, and I then observe what happens, and if I have some kind of like OBD tool, I will be able to figure out many times what can be improved. And I think actually some stuff has been improved based on my video experience or other people also. For example, you guys remember Tesla Model 3 performance a couple of years ago when it came out, you know, with the one with the octovalve. Previously, like MC Hammer didn't have octovalve, so that was not the problem. But with the introduction of octovalve, Tesla started scavenging heat from the battery. What it means is that it takes leftover heat from the battery to help heat up the cabin, and that saves a lot of energy. And you know, that was not possible. That mode was not possible before Tesla got the heat pump and octovalve. So, but what they did by accident, I think, was that they sucked too much heat from the battery. That's what happened with the Model 3 Performance, with the Panasonic battery, is that the temperature on the battery was sucked low until around like 10-15 degrees Celsius. And at low state of charge, that battery, the Panasonic battery, suffers, and it limits the power, and you got into some limbo. Several Norwegians discovered this during winter a couple of years ago, to the point where on the motorway you could not maintain 100 kilometers per hour. It dropped to 50-60 kilometers per hour. You know, it was a bit scary. I documented this in a video, and a couple of months later Tesla fixed this silently. Yeah, I don't remember if they even made a big deal about it. But was it because of my video? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe it was because of other people's video, right? But it means that my discovery could lead to improving the car's software and the car's performance, so that you don't overheat the battery, for example, in summer, or in winter you don't Colgate. So another thing I discovered was that Neo ET7 I tried. When I was at low battery, and if I tried to use cruise control, I discovered this. The car would then throw a drivetrain error. I was like, huh? Drivetrain error? That is quite severe. Well, it turns out it's just a stupid software thing where the low state of charge and cold battery led to power limit, and then the cruise control tried to demand for more power than was available or dictated by the BMS, and then instead of, like most other cars will do it, you just accelerate a little bit slower when you have cruise control on. The Neo ET7 threw an error, scaring the shit out of me at least, and could also confuse other people. Oh, sheep, what the heck? And another problem I discovered with the ET7 was that when I went to Alvdal, when it was really cold outside, it was minus 20 degrees or minus 21, 22 something degrees Celsius, even at 12% battery in a freaking 100 kilowatt hour battery, the car started colgating to the point where it limited the power, and I was going into some limp mode, and I was struggling. Uphill, I couldn't maintain more than 150, 60 kilometers per hour in an 80 zone, you know? And how could they have fixed that, Neo? Well, if they have heat scavenging, don't scavenge the heat that much. You know, it could be the same mistake they made just like Tesla, Model 3 Performance. Or if it's a problem, at least try, if they have some alien technology and they can divert leftover heat from the motor into the battery like Tesla is doing nowadays, then that's the way to fix it. Yeah, by the way, in the case of Model 3 Performance, I saw after they fixed it that at low state of charge, if it's cold outside or something like that, instead of sucking the battery down to 10-15 degrees Celsius, Tesla will now keep the battery at around 30 degrees Celsius. That is way better. At low state of charge, you need that heat. Some batteries are better. They have better performance at low temperature. Like LG batteries, they perform way better. It's just, I guess, depends on the battery manufacturer, chemistry, form factor, lots of factors there that plays a role. So at least, but if the car manufacturer is using a battery technology cell, whatever, that is susceptible to limp mode at low state of charge, low temperature, like Tesla and Neo, then they should do whatever the car is capable of to avoid it. So worst case, Neo should fire up the battery heater, do something towards the end to heat up the battery to maybe 20-25 degrees Celsius to avoid going into the limp mode. And another problem, by the way, is that once I plugged in with that Neo in Alvdal, it was charging slow because the battery was cold. So yeah, what am I saying is that I have experienced so much now over the years with different cars, different brands, different models even, You know, like that problem I mentioned with Tesla Model 3 performance was only specific for that Model 3 performance, and it was not for the long range, because the long range didn't use the Panasonic battery. The long range used the LG battery, which had better performance at low temperature, at low state of charge. But after so many years of testing electric cars, I have built up so much experience. I can sniff, I can sense what could possibly be wrong, or what the heck is going on, why we're charging slow, and you know, why we're replicating. You know, I can see the behavior, and I can actually give really good recommendations to car manufacturers what they can do to fix this. And you can say, well, you know, well, is it anything you can fix? Well, apparently it is. Like with Tesla, they put something into production and it has bugs. So my idea, the whole video here is actually, in a way, an advertisement announcement actually, to car manufacturers that I can help them. Just like BYD, just like Tesla, and just like NIO, they have gotten some free advertisement, free, what do you call it, free advices from me, you know. Not consultancy, because I never talked to them, like that, but this is my offer. This is actually an idea I had now. So I had it for a long time, but maybe I just need to get paid for this. Am I doing this just to get money? Well, technically yes, but it's fair and square, because you know what I could do? I talk about this also for a long time, at least in the live stream. They know about this. I could even, I mean, car manufacturers could hire me when they are developing some EV, and then I can sit in the prototype somewhere in Lapland, or I don't know, man, or in some secret test zone, and test these cars and figure out how it is, and then come up with recommendations what they should do. And they need to, of course, discuss this. We have, of course, discussed back and forth what is possible, what they want to do or not do, right? But the problem is that will take too much time, and it will then take my focus and time away from the regular video production. But the way it works today is that I get production cars, press cars, and I test them. I do my regular test, range test, banana box test. Well, okay, that one, okay. But especially 1,000 kilometer challenge tends to reveal lots of bugs and weaknesses in cars. But by still doing those regular tests and make videos, I discover those bugs and whatever, and I find those improvement potential. So I will actually be doing work I already do, right? And then that means that it will not compromise the normal video production, but then I will have highly valuable information to give to car manufacturers. Yeah. But I should still charge money for it. You can say, well, you're greedy, man. You already did the work, and then you're gonna charge a car manufacturer for it. Well, I mean, how much money do they have, really, car manufacturers? I heard that they have a lot of money. I mean, the budget for R&D and the budget for PR is huge. And if my services, my consultancy to the car manufacturers will result in better cars that makes it more attractive for customers to buy, then that's win-win. Then that's easy win, you know. And then what is okay? So what's in it for me? It's money, but it's not only money. It's also my drive for making cars more efficient. I mean, it's not more making electric cars better. Because also I have another agenda, which is I want electric cars to be as good as possible. You know, for example, go back to that example with a NIO ET7 in Alvdal. A fossil car in minus 25 degrees Celsius, does it go into some limp mode because the engine is too cold? No. So why would an electric car do it? A Tesla would not do it. Yeah, I mean, you guys gonna hate on me. Oh, you always mention that. But Tesla has a smart engineering. They have been in the game for a long time. They made electric cars since, I don't know, 2005 or some shit. You know, they have almost 30 years of experience with electric cars. They know the shit. They still make some mistakes, yes, okay, but so there is no reason for electric cars to perform poorly, not with today's battery technology. What makes electric cars perform poorly might be because of bad software design or bad hardware design. Okay, when it comes to a production car that is already out, then hardware changes might be hard to implement. Software changes, oh, that's a BYD tang, by the way. Software changes is way easier to implement, but even hardware changes that I suggest could be useful for a car manufacturer for future models, you know? For example, if the BYD, well, it seems like it doesn't have good enough cooling. Well, maybe they should do something with the newer BYD models from now on. Then, yeah. So yeah, that's my whole idea, is that I should charge money, but then also what can I offer to the car manufacturer? Well, I can offer them consultancy, a video call preferably. Face-to-face is probably not needed, takes time. But okay, if they want to have the high quality, high definition face-to-face in an office, I can also do that. But I'm gonna ask you guys, I need to name my price here, because an hourly rate for let's say an electrician or, you know, whatever, is maybe only 100 euro per hour. But for me, business to business here, I have to charge more, and because there are tens of hours of work behind it, you know, and that's the one I want to get paid off. Some things might sound very expensive, just like when I went to the photographer and she spent just a couple hours photographing me and my wife and Isabel, but she still charged a lot. Like, it was way more than, I think it was around 2,000 euros, you know. But it wasn't just those few hours there, it was the work before and after. It was hard work to become a good photographer. It was for the studio, everything, and that's pretty much what I need to charge for. Yeah, everything has a price. My experience took many years to build up. So I want to ask you guys, what is a fair price then? If I want to charge car manufacturer per hour, should it be something like 500 euros? Because we don't need that many hours. Maybe just 2-3 hours of face-to-face talk or video call, and they can ask me questions and I can provide information. And also, what about material? Because I can also offer logs. I can record the car scanner logs that they can have. They have the full rights to use it for whatever they want. Or other logs I could record for them. Or yeah, if they're actually into this, I could even have some kind of recorder with me. But usually the way I approach them is that I just test the car, the press car, as a customer, you know. They don't know beforehand that I'm going to test it. But we could actually change that, yeah. They could actually provide me a production car and have some logger in there, and then I just do my regular range test and whatever. And then if I find out something, they can just look in the logs, and they will, yeah, and then based on the logs also. But then I also I need to know what is going on. So usually I will also prefer to use car scanner, unless they can provide me with something similar in case there is a car that doesn't have car scanner support yet. Like, let's say this Mercedes, for example. Because if I can see on the screen the battery temperature, the charging power, the battery heater, all that stuff that I want to know typically, then that would be very useful for me to understand what's going on and to give my recommendation. But yeah, at least maybe I should even name a price that, okay, the log or the data, if they want some data, that will also cost them 1,000 euro. And then I will take 500 euros per hour, but just for a couple of hours. And then they can even record me, whatever, I don't care. And by doing that, they can improve the products. You know, they might initially release the car, yeah, But then after some months, they can already come with an update. And nowadays, many cars, they have software update over the air also. So it should be very easy for a car manufacturer to fix bugs and improve the car over time. So I feel like nowadays, you don't have to make the car perfect from start. You know, recently I tried the Polestar 2. Initially, the Polestar 2 didn't show charging speed in the screen, and the preheating before fast charging was not implemented. But they implemented that a while after it was published, or when, yeah. So, yeah, and I can, of course, once we are at it, yeah, if once I got connection with the car manufacturer, I can then come with some recommendations. But normally I don't have too much time. I don't want to sink too much time into car manufacturer stuff. I mean, it depends, but for example, if a car manufacturer has a car they want to make, ideally I need to test drive it and all that, but they could approach me and have all this like outline or whatever detail about how they are planning on making it, and then we can have a video call, and I can ask them, okay, but how is this one? Do you guys have heat scavenging? What about drag coefficient? What about the things I claim is important? They don't have to always follow my recommendation. It's just a recommendation. Some car manufacturer, they want to have their design language, like the Polestar. You know, it needs to look boxy, like a Volvo. Yeah, I get that. Okay, doesn't look slick like this EQE, for example. But yeah, that could be one thing. If I get, let's say, have a video call, last a couple of hours, I get presented the car, of course, under NDA. You know, I'm not allowed to talk about this or show this to anyone. I see the car, or maybe they don't even need to show me the car. They can just talk about the technical details and what they think. You know, I would, for example, if they say, I would, for example, ask, okay, you have a new car model coming out. Okay, is it 400 volt, 800 volt architecture? Okay, what is the battery pack voltage? And if they say, oh, it's 310 to 350 volt, just like that freaking iX1, I'd be like, can you make the pack voltage a little bit higher? Because if you happen to charge on 50 kilowatt, which still happens today and will probably happen for the next 10 years at least, then that car is going to charge dog slow. So try to raise the pack voltage to at least 350 to 400, but ideally even higher, 400 to 450 volt. The chargers can take it just fine. No, that's the kind of recommendation I would give car manufacturer. So yeah, and I have some other ideas also, which is that I can actually take long-term, borrow a car for long-term. Nowadays, well, the general like the way it usually works now across the industry is that press cars, you borrow a press car for up to 1 week only. Yeah, there are some exceptions. Like I have good relationship with Volkswagen, and sometimes I can request borrowing a Volkswagen for longer, especially if it's a long trip, like going to the North Cape with the ID4 was it a couple of years ago. But in general, it's only 1 week. And yeah, by the way, Tesla, they don't even allow you to borrow a press car for 1 week. They have like 5 days only. That's why I get my Teslas from Marcus Biel instead of Tesla directly. Yeah, I mean, Tesla makes great cars when it comes to the PR management and policy and stuff over there, practical stuff, not that great, man. Yeah, but yeah, but my idea is that, okay, but instead of borrowing a press car for only 1 week, why don't I borrow it for 3 to 6 months? Because in 1 week, when I do my regular test, okay, I might not find out about some stuff like overheating or whatever problems, right? But if I borrow it for several months, I can use it for winter, spring, or you know, there will be then a higher chance of something to occur, right? And that would be highly valuable for the customer, or for the car manufacturer. If I find out something, I might not find out anything. Yeah, that's also true. But it's just a small price, really. It's just pocket money for the car manufacturer. And then what's in it for me? Well, it's if I find out something, then we should schedule a video call, and then of course I will charge them. But if I don't find out anything, then they don't have to pay me anything for consultancy. But at least it is practical for me also to get a car I can borrow more long term, because nowadays I'm just in and out with one car. I mean, like one car per week, and I have to swap stuff all the time. But it would be more useful if I can just borrow a car for a long time, and I can just have the child seat in there. So for practical use, for my personal use, that would be better. Unless I own a car. Yeah, that's also true. I could own a car, but it's actually a golden opportunity for me to use a car as if it would be myself long term, and find out something about it. It's actually, in a way, it is lost opportunity if I would keep driving, for example, Millennium Falcon as the daily car, because there's nothing else to discover about that one, you know? So yeah, it's actually the same thing, by the way. If I go on a long trip, instead of taking my own car over and over again, the same car, I can bring another car and experience how that one is for as a family car, or for charging and consumption and whatever other problems we have there. But then if I get to borrow a car like that from a car manufacturer, it should be something like a special deal. It's not a regular press car. It's like a manufacturer car. They could just put on all the logging they want on it, and yeah. And what else is it? Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a good idea, man. I'm up for it, but I also want to know feedback from you guys. How much should I charge them? And does it sound like a good idea? And also, if the car manufacturer is okay with it, I could even open up and vlog about this, or I mean, not maybe make some episodes about this, right? I mean, should it be secret? Well, many car manufacturers want stuff to be secret because of competition advantage, stuff like that. Yeah, I fully understand. We know we have to be under NDA. But think about this. If I can tell you guys that, hey, you know, BYD paid me for consultancy. We had video call. They put a logger into the car that I borrowed for several months. And they have discovered we have discovered lots of stuff together, and they are going to make some major changes to the software. Plus, they're going to improve future BYDs. You know how much that is worth for BYD, because customers be like, damn, one of the EV ninjas out there has been helping BYD. That means that it's a high chance that those bugs and those shit, you know, with the BYD will be fixed, or yeah. So that is like a seal of approval from me. so it's just I'm just tossing out some ideas here, yeah. Because I'm thinking that why not make money on this, and why not improve electric mobility and make electric cars even better? And if one company suddenly use my service, other companies be like, hey, they should do it too. Yeah, why not? But up until now, my information has been publicly available, kind of, or it depends. But I think it's hard for the car manufacturers to sit and watch my videos in the 1,000 kilometer challenge when I complain about Rapidgate or Coldgate, or that the preheating in the Kia EV6 is so complicated. You can't click on the map to navigate to a fast charger, unlike you can in other cars, right? Polestar, Tesla, you can just click and navigate to a fast charger. It will preheat. But in the EV6, you have to do a very specific procedure in order to make the car preheat the battery for fast charging. And then also that the battery preheating stops at 17.5%. I've seen this in Car Scanner. It stops at 17.5%. If I could have direct chat conference call with Kia, Hyundai, I would tell them to lower that limit preheat down to 5%. You have a big battery. You have an efficient car most of the time, as long as you don't hammer too hard. And they can do something smarter, that you can figure out, okay, you are close to a fast charger, then it's safe to preheat down to 5% rather than stopping at 17.5%. You know, this is the kind of stuff that, well, almost annoys me a little bit. It probably annoys the heck out of you guys, because for me, I could almost not give a shit because I don't own the Kia. But I talked to a guy, I remember, it was at Ioniq. I talked to a Kia EV6 owner. He was my follower, and he said that he annoyed the heck out of that Colgate because he, speaking of EV6, here's an EV6 coming. He uses EV6 and he charged on Ioniq because he has a good deal. You know, Ioniq, they have dirt cheap charging via the old price. I think the new price is still pretty good. But in winter, he would get shitty speed. And he would see other people with Teslas or Polestars or Mercedes get way better charging speeds than his car. And he knows that Kia EV6, there's no freaking Ioniq 5. But he knows that EV6 can charge blistering fast, 230 kilowatt, but he wasn't getting it. And there was some weird shit, like in order for him to get the software update, he would have to wait for the next service to get it. I was like, isn't that just OTA? Apparently not. I think they need to plug in the RS232 cable. Or maybe they start using LPT, who knows? Yeah, but yeah, so you see, especially owners, I think potential owners or current car owners would be more than happy if car manufacturer would pay me or even some other YouTubers to improve the products. But I don't know if other YouTubers offer this kind of service. So this is actually an open invitation to any car manufacturer to contact me. You guys know how to contact me anyway. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, I think I talk a lot now about this. It's yeah. So I would like to know what you guys think, huh? Is it a good idea? Are you guys up for it? Yeah. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.